Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Action Awareness, I want to talk about Bacta the Future of the Shapeshifters. I bet some of you were expecting Time Walk this week, but I couldn't resist. The Shapeshifters are one of my all-time favorite factions, despite being so minion-starved. They burn through minions so quickly, particularly because they have 4 self-destructive actions, with Bacta the Future being one of them. Each provides their own benefit. Really lets you play a minion with equal or lower power from the discard pile, which is great for a minion-starved faction. The 2 copies of Transmogrify allow you to search your deck for a replacement minion of equal or lower power. And then there is Bacta the Future, the most unusual of them. Bacta the Future states, destroy a minion, that minion's owner may immediately play an extra minion. Most of this ability may seem straightforward. Because the extra minion play is uncapped, you can convert a copycat or any low-powered, on-play minion into a better minion. Because of the break between the destruction and the extra play, the usual destruction loophole works, which is why the Shapeshifters have shell game to exploit this. In this regard, Bacta the Future is a more convoluted summon, one where the extra play is also immediate, which may not be trivial. All the usual points about VP farming still apply. I'm not a fan of using this on Doppelganger, even if it nets you 2 minions. I prefer to let him break a base and get a head start on the replacement. But the point of this video is to consider the second clause more carefully. Specifically, that minion's owner may immediately play an extra minion. On the surface, this may not seem useful because while you get to destroy a minion, your opponent has a chance to replace it. Assassination doesn't have this problem, although the minion isn't destroyed until the end of the turn, which has its own problem. Though the Shapeshifters are not supposed to specialize in destruction, that doesn't necessarily make this card weaker. Are there any opportunities where it is beneficial to use this on an opponent? I think so. First, it is still a generic destroy a minion card, and there aren't many of those. Each of them has their own drawback. Corruption forces you to draw madness, and gimme requires there to be an action on a minion. Other cards can only destroy minions you control, so if there is a particularly annoying, irreplaceable minion that you can destroy, where any other minion is preferable, this card still provides value. When you are downgrading an opponent minion, it's very possible that the power of both the replacement minion and the next turn minion is less than the power of the minion you destroy, especially since they just play the replacement minion next turn anyway. There's also the possibility that they might upgrade, which you can use to your advantage with a Mimic. This works particularly well when you play Bacta the Future first, since they might respond with a high printed power minion before they realize what you'll do in response. Bacta the Future also makes for a good play when a minion slips through your defenses and the replacement minion cannot necessarily be played on the same base. Consider a base like Ice Castle and a minion like Snow White. Once you get the first minion on, it's easier to pull over everyone and work around the base's ability. The same is true when a high-powered minion slips through the Leprechaun. But if you destroy that minion, your opponent might be forced to play elsewhere. This also works well with dragons or tricksters when you make a base very undesirable, forcing them to pay a penalty if they are going to recommit to that same base. There are also times when you want to destroy a minion on your own terms. A mild-mannered citizen will destroy itself and search for a very powerful minion. You could argue that you should save Bacta the Future for the fetched minion, but given the power superheroes can drop, you may not have the opportunity. This also applies on a base like Field of Honor, where you deny them a VP and gain one yourself. I've also had success using Bacta the Future to bleed someone dry of minions. As powerful as the Shapeshifters are, minion starvation can really hurt them, so why not do the same to your opponents? Sometimes players are satisfied with having just a few minions on the base, but in order to achieve the same effect, you can make them expend more cards. Since the discard pile is public knowledge, you should be able to get a sense of how well this tactic is working. This works extremely well against princesses and vigilantes or any faction that is desperate for minions in hand. Some players might seize the opportunity to try to break a base on your turn by bringing out a powerful minion. Bacta the Future can also be used as bait to bring out a powerful minion that Copycat can copy. This is a bit more advanced and requires you to know what your opponents can play, but I swear it works. Since the minion's owner gets the extra play, unfortunately this card doesn't pair as well with the cannons. This would make the card similar to 9 lives and waters down the nuance of Bacta the Future, so it's important that that distinction exists. Finally, this works as a great counter to the kaiju because they may not have a replacement minion in their hand, given that they have primarily actions. I really don't recommend using Bacta the Future on yourself without destruction protection because you'll lose too many minions. And as I mentioned, there are opportunities to use it strategically on your opponent. But with Oops releasing soon, another opportunity has emerged: Dueling. Duels resolve a little differently from what you might expect. The abilities of the challenger are resolved first, not in the order chosen by the active player. Since both players get to choose an action to play, if you are the challenged player, Bacta the Future can make for a great card to play, particularly when you know you are going to lose the duel anyway. Destroying one of the 2 minions would end the duel without resolution, denying the challenger a pretty good bonus, while also wasting cards they use to buff up the dueling minion. This is a surprising way to bleed a player out of many cards while protecting your own. Of course, you could always just destroy your own minion to dodge the duel anyway, playing a replacement yourself. Do whatever works best for the particular situation. I always appreciate it when a card's unusual wording allows for outside-the-box thinking, and I see that with Bacta the Future. Sometimes you just have to get creative and realize an opportunity when you see one. Can you think of other opportunities to play Bacta the Future on your opponents? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.